This week on Choice Hacking.
Now to a sickening video posted online by two Dominos Pizza workers. They claim it was all a harmless prank, but now they're out of work and facing criminal charges. Here's NBC's Ron Mott.
Kitchen Confidential turned Arrested Development. Two Dominos Pizza workers in North Carolina are in big trouble for making this video and posting it on YouTube. In an online statement, Dominos delivered a career-ending blow to the pair and a stern warning about the hazards of the web, saying, quote, anyone with a camera and an internet link can cause a lot of damage.
In 2009, a series of viral videos almost destroyed Domino's Pizza. Known as Disgusting Dominoes online, they showed employees doing unspeakable things to customers' pizza. It was one of the biggest brand PR disasters in recent memory, and it came close to destroying the Domino's brand. Its stock plummeted, and people outright refused to buy their pizza. So how did they turn it all around? Well, with a bit of behavioral science and psychology applied, consciously or not, to its marketing and advertising. I'm Jennifer Clinehens, and you're listening to Choice Hacking, a podcast about applying behavioral science and psychology to business, marketing, experience design, and more. Join me today as we unpack the psychology behind one of the biggest brand turnarounds in history and how you can steal some of their approaches for you or your client's business. But before we get started, I want to give a shout out to the sponsor of this podcast, Choice Hacking's training offerings. Did you know that Choice Hacking isn't just a podcast? We're also an e-learning platform, a marketing consulting firm, and we do a lot of corporate training that can get your teams using the power of behavioral science, psychology, and AI to drive your bottom line. We can help your employees learn the nuts and bolts of applied behavioral science, become more persuasive presenters using psychology and predictive AI, and even polish their leadership skills with the power of evidence-based approaches. Sound interesting? Just visit choicehacking.com/training to learn more. That's choicehacking.com/training. Now on to the show. After, quote, two idiots, as the company spokesperson later called them, decided that their afternoon was best spent doing gross and illegal things to people's orders, customers were outraged and sales suffered. In the community where the videos were filmed, sales fell 50% and 600 Domino's workers were laid off as a result. Unsurprisingly, the Domino's brand also took a huge hit. According to a Zeta Interactive survey, negative customer sentiment, so people who basically hated the brand, increased 234% almost overnight. It was clear that an apology was not going to be enough to recover from a disaster this big. But these viral videos were the last straw for a brand that had suffered from poor perception for a while. Customers described Domino's products as, quote, the worst pizza I ever had, saying, quote, the sauce tastes like ketchup and the crust tastes like cardboard. But instead of ignoring this criticism, CEO J. Patrick Doyle overcame it with a bit of psychology and behavioral science. The first principle Doyle implemented was the pratfall effect. It says that our mistakes can actually make us seem more likable, not less. But it only works if you're already seen as a competent or above average performer. To address the poor quality of Domino's products, the CEO starred in a marketing campaign called Pizza Turnaround.
Domino's pizza crust to me is like cardboard.
I hear what some folks are saying about our stuff.
Oh, this one's bad. Worst excuse for pizza I've ever had. Totally void of flavor.
You know what? When you first hear it, it's shocking.
The cardboard complaint is the most common one.
This we hear over and over and over.
I mean, that hits you right in the heart.
You can either use negative comments to get you down, or you can use them to excite you and energize your process of making a better pizza. We did the latter.
Most companies hide the criticism that they're getting, and we actually faced it head on.
We listen to our consumers, and they want us to be better, and we want them to be happier. We want people to love our pizza.
This is what's driving us. This is what's lit the fire under us. This is is what's making us want to get better.
Our best chef's looking at 10 crust types, 15 sauces, dozens of cheeses.
You can't just add a little salt. I mean, we basically had to start over with a new recipe.
And they were working day and night and weekends to get it done.
These commercials shone a light on the brand's critics and vowed to fix their product. Pizza Turnaround not only documented the journey to create better pizza, it also showed Domino's executives and chefs reading and responding to extremely tough critics of their product. And the campaign, whether the brand realized it or not, benefited from the pratfall effect. Most people saw Domino's as a competent pizza provider, and in many ways, for many years, they had been innovators in quick-service restaurants and delivery. In fact, they basically invented pizza delivery because their first shop was too small to even seat customers. That's why the Pizza Turnaround campaign worked so well. The commercials reminded folks how much they had loved Domino's in the past, then apologized for the brand's current mistakes and shared a plan for how they were going to fix them. CEO J. Patrick Doyle launched the Pizza Turnaround campaign, but he didn't stop at the product. He repositioned Domino's not only as a great pizza brand, but as a technology brand that made better pizza possible. You see, there was a big problem with pizza delivery at the time. The process was basically a black box. You might order at 7 p.m. and expect the pizza to arrive in 30 minutes to an hour, but you were left in the dark between your phone call and the pizza hopefully showing up at your house. And when the pizza didn't arrive, people would call the store, distracting employees and making everyone's pizza take longer to get to their house. Domino's knew they had to do something to stop customers from calling. And pretty soon they realized there was already a system that they could use to improve delivery transparency, their order management software. This software was used to create the Domino's Pizza Tracker, a website and later app feature that showed customers exactly where their order was. Now, this might not sound too impressive in the age of DoorDash, Uber Eats, and Deliveroo, but in 2008, the same year the first iPhone launched, it was pretty amazing. Some Domino's locations even went further to give their customers a peek behind the curtain. One store in Utah set up webcams in their kitchens so you could watch your pizza being made. Well, why did this approach work? It's down to a principle called operational transparency. Operational transparency is the inclusion of windows into your company's process so customers can see what's going on. It's like a peek behind the curtain that, according to research, can cause customers to value products more highly and can even make people happier. Now, it's worth saying that there is some controversy surrounding the accuracy of the pizza tracker. Some influential folks on social media have accused the tracker of being a fancy timer instead of being a real-time tracker. Although Domino's insists that the pizza tracker is, quote, linked directly to computers in the store and is based on actual store operations. When the pizza is made and put in the oven, the store member must press a button, which updates Domino's tracker. The same goes for when the pizza goes out on delivery. Now, as a behavioral science practitioner myself, I love the insight it can give us, not only into marketing, but also into how brands manage change and how leaders make decisions. Clearly, J. Patrick Doyle is also a fan himself. When he was interviewed for a Harvard Business Review article in 2016, he identified 2 key behavioral science principles that he felt organizations had to be wary of to make a big change. The first thing Doyle wanted to avoid was something called omission bias. Omission bias describes our tendency to do nothing instead of doing something because nobody sees the cost and damages of not making a move. They only see what happens when a bad move is made, so people end up just not doing anything at all. In a brand crisis like the one Domino's faced, inaction was a recipe for disaster. The second behavioral principle Doyle wanted to avoid was loss aversion, which I've talked about several times on this podcast. It describes people's desire to avoid loss at almost any cost. The psychological pain of loss is more than twice the joy of gaining the same thing. So, for example, if someone steals $20 from you, your sadness might be a 6 on an emotional intensity scale of 10. But if you found $20, well, your happiness would only rate about a 3. You feel happy, but not as intensely as you would feel sad at being pickpocketed. Doyle knew that people tend to be cautious, especially in management situations. They want to avoid any kind of risk, and therefore, any kind of potential loss. Even in crisis situations that demanded out-of-the-pizza box thinking. Sorry, I couldn't resist. He knew that to succeed, a leader needed to communicate that failure was an option. Throughout the pizza turnaround process, that's exactly what J. Patrick Doyle did. And that willingness to fail was ultimately what caused Domino's to succeed. Thank you for listening to the Choice Hacking Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to rate and review it. It takes about 20 hours for me to put together every episode, and it is a huge help when you take just a moment of your time to rate or review the podcast. And don't forget, you can learn more about behavioral science and psychology applied to business when you subscribe to the free Choice Hacking email list. You'll join more than 8,000 brilliant UX, CX, and marketing folks from companies like Google, Coke, and Disney who get my newsletter. To sign up, just visit choicehacking.com/subscribe. That's choicehacking.com/subscribe. Until next time.
I hit record a drop, you can't ignore it. I'm transforming now these cars and planes, I'm always boarding. Just out touring down in Charlotte like I play for